The galaxy was a vast and mysterious place, filled with countless species, each more advanced than the last. Among them was humanity, a young and curious race that had only recently begun to explore the stars. For years, Earth's leaders had worked hard to make friends with other civilizations in the galaxy. They wanted to show everyone that humans were peaceful and willing to learn. But not everyone saw humanity in the same light. The Galactic Council, a powerful group of alien leaders who ruled over many planets, viewed humans with suspicion. To them, humanity was unpredictable. Humans grew too fast, built too quickly, and asked too many questions. The Council thought Earth might one day become a threat to the balance they worked so hard to maintain. So, while they kept up appearances of friendship behind closed doors, they often debated what to do about this rapidly advancing species. One quiet afternoon on a small farm in Iowa, a boy named Jacob was playing outside. He was only 8 years old, full of energy and curiosity. His favorite thing to do was wander around the fields near his home, looking for interesting rocks or insects. On this particular day, something unusual caught his eye, a strange glowing object hovering silently above the ground. It looked like a floating orb, shimmering faintly with colors that seemed to shift and change. Jacob tilted his head, studying it. "What are you?" he whispered, taking a step closer. The orb didn't move, but it felt alive somehow, as if it were watching him just as much as he was watching it. Without thinking twice, Jacob reached out and touched its smooth surface. An instant, alarms blared across the galaxy. The orb wasn't just some random piece of space junk. It was part of the Galactic Council's surveillance system. Designed to monitor potentially dangerous activity, it immediately flagged Jacob as an intruder. Back at the Council's headquarters, officials scrambled to assess the situation. One of them, a tall, insect-like creature with gleaming black eyes, spoke sharply. "Protocol demands immediate action. Neutralize the threat." No one stopped to ask why a child had approached the orb. No one cared to find out if he meant any harm. Within seconds, a beam of intense energy shot down from the sky, striking Jacob where he stood. When the light faded, there was nothing left of him, not even ash, just empty air. Back on Earth, Jacob's mother, Laura, heard the explosion from inside her house. She ran outside, calling his name. Her heart sank when she saw the scorched patch of grass where her son had been moments earlier. Panic turned to horror as she realized what must have happened. Nearby, a drone camera used for farming had recorded everything. The orb, Jacob reaching out, and the sudden burst of energy that erased him from existence. Laura collapsed to her knees, tears streaming down her face. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. How could this happen? Why would anyone or anything do such a thing to a child? Desperate for answers, she uploaded the footage online, hoping someone could explain what had killed her son. Within hours, the video went viral. People all over the world watched in shock as the innocent act of a curious boy ended in tragedy. Social media platforms lit up with outrage. News outlets picked up the story, broadcasting it non-stop. Protesters took to the streets, holding signs that read, "Justice for Jacob" and "Earth will not be silent." The anger wasn't limited to one country or region. It was global. Billions of people united in their grief and fury. Governments around the world tried to calm the masses, promising to investigate the incident. But privately, leaders knew the truth. This wasn't an accident. It was an act of aggression by the Galactic Council. And now, humanity faced a choice: accept this injustice quietly or fight back. At the United Nations headquarters in New York City, representatives from every nation gathered for an emergency meeting. The room buzzed with tension as delegates argued over how to respond. Some called for diplomacy, urging patience and restraint. Others demanded retaliation, insisting that humanity couldn't let such cruelty go unanswered. Among those present was Daniel Carter, a retired military strategist, who had spent decades studying classified projects tied to humanity's ancient past. Few people knew about his work, but today his expertise was desperately needed. As the debate raged on, Daniel stood up, his voice cutting through the chaos. "We've tolerated their arrogance for too long," he said, his tone firm yet calm. "They destroyed one of our own without question or remorse. Now we show them why humanity doesn't back down." Daniel's words struck a chord. For centuries, humanity had relied on others for protection, trusting that peace could be achieved through negotiation. But now, trust had been shattered. The Council's actions proved they saw humans as inferior, unworthy of basic respect. If Earth wanted to survive, it would need to rely on itself and its secrets. Decades earlier, archaeologists had uncovered evidence of an advanced human civilization that predated recorded history. These ruins contained blueprints for incredible machines, including massive spacecraft capable of traveling between stars. Fearing the misuse of such technology worldwide, governments decided to keep it hidden, constructing replicas of these ships and burying them deep beneath the ocean floor. This project, known as Horizon, was designed as a last resort, a weapon to defend Earth against threats too great for conventional forces. Now, Daniel proposed activating Horizon. It was risky. The ships had never been tested in real combat. But given the circumstances, no one could deny the necessity. With unanimous approval, plans were set into motion. Engineers and scientists worked tirelessly to bring the fleet online, while pilots and crew members underwent crash training programs using simulations based on recovered data. Leading the charge was Captain Emily Dawson, a seasoned officer chosen to command the flagship vessel, Eclipse. Though honored by the responsibility, Emily couldn't shake the weight of what lay ahead. This wasn't just another mission, it was humanity's first step onto the galactic stage, and failure wasn't an option. As preparations continued, a message was sent to the Galactic Council. Signed by every nation on Earth, it was short and direct. "You took one of ours. Prepare to face the consequences." Across the galaxy, the Council received the transmission with disbelief. Many dismissed it as empty bravado, convinced that humanity lacked the means to back up its threats. But unknown to them, deep beneath Earth's oceans, an ancient force was stirring. A force that would soon remind the Council, and the entire galaxy, that humanity was not to be underestimated. The days following the message to the Galactic Council were filled with tension and urgency. Earth's leaders knew they had made a bold statement, but words alone wouldn't be enough to protect humanity. Action was needed, and fast. Deep beneath the ocean floor, engineers worked around the clock to awaken the ancient fleet known as Project Horizon. The ships, designed centuries ago based on blueprints from a forgotten human civilization, had been kept hidden for exactly this kind of situation. A moment when Earth would need to defend itself against an overwhelming threat. Daniel Carter, the retired military strategist who had pushed for the activation of the fleet, spent every waking hour overseeing the preparations. He walked through the underwater facility, watching as teams of technicians ran diagnostics on the massive vessels. Each ship was sleek and metallic, with sharp edges and glowing panels that pulsed faintly, as if alive. Despite their age, the ships looked ready for battle. Daniel couldn't help but feel a mix of awe and dread. These machines were humanity's last hope, but using them meant stepping into a war humanity wasn't sure it could win. At the center of the operation was Captain Emily Dawson, the woman chosen to lead the flagship vessel, Eclipse. Emily was calm under pressure, a trait that had earned her respect throughout her career. But even she felt the weight of what was being asked of her. She stood on the bridge of Eclipse, studying holographic displays that showed the status of the fleet. Every system was coming online: engines, weapons, shields. Everything seemed to be working perfectly, but there was no time to celebrate. The Galactic Council wouldn't wait for Earth to catch its breath. Emily turned to her crew, a mix of experienced officers and newly trained recruits. "Listen up," she said, her voice steady. "This isn't just about winning a fight. It's about showing the galaxy that we won't back down when someone tries to hurt us. We're not just pilots or soldiers, we're representatives of Earth. Let's make sure we do our planet proud." Her words resonated with the team. They all knew what was at stake. If they failed, Earth might never recover. The thought of losing wasn't an option. Everyone worked harder, pushing themselves to the limit. Sleep was rare, meals were quick, and conversations were brief. There was no time for anything except preparing for what lay ahead. Meanwhile, on the surface, the world watched and waited. News outlets broadcast live updates from the underwater facility, showing glimpses of the fleet being prepared. People gathered in living rooms, cafes, and public squares, glued to their screens. For the first time in history, humanity felt truly united. Borders didn't matter anymore, nationalities didn't matter. What mattered was survival and justice for Jacob, the boy whose life had sparked this chain of events. Laura, Jacob's mother, became a symbol of resilience during this time. Though still grieving deeply, she found strength in the support of millions of strangers. She traveled to major cities, speaking at rallies and urging people to stay strong. They took my son, she said at one event, her voice breaking but determined. But they won't take our future. We have to stand together no matter what happens next. Her words inspired countless others to keep pushing forward, even when fear threatened to overwhelm them. As the final preparations neared completion, Earth sent another message to the Galactic Council. This time it included footage of the fleet rising from the depths of the ocean. The ships broke through the water's surface in a dazzling display of power, their engines roaring as they ascended into the sky. Billions of people watched as the Armada soared higher, leaving Earth's atmosphere behind. It was a moment of pride and terror rolled into one. Humanity had never sent such a force into space before, and the stakes couldn't have been higher. On the other side of the galaxy, the Council received the transmission with growing unease. Many members dismissed it as a bluff, convinced that humanity lacked the skill to use such advanced technology effectively. Others weren't so sure. The footage of the fleet was undeniable proof that Earth had been hiding something powerful. A heated debate erupted among the Council members, with some arguing for immediate action and others urging caution. In the end, they decided to send a portion of their own fleet to intercept the humans near Jupiter's orbit. If Earth wanted a fight, the Council would give it one, but on their terms. Back aboard Eclipse, Emily and her crew prepared for the inevitable confrontation. The journey to Jupiter was tense, with everyone knowing that battle could erupt at any moment. As they approached the designated meeting point, sensors detected the arrival of the Council's ships. Dozens of alien vessels appeared on the horizon, their designs strange and menacing. They were larger than the human ships, with jagged shapes and pulsating lights that gave them an almost organic appearance. "Here we go," Emily muttered under her breath. She activated the comm system, addressing her crew. "Stay sharp, remember your training. We've got one shot at this and we can't afford to fail." The two fleets hovered in the vast emptiness of space, sizing each other up. For several long minutes, neither side moved. Then, without warning, the Council's ships opened fire. Bright beams of energy streaked across the void, slamming into the human fleet. Shouts rang out on the bridge of Eclipse as alarms blared. But instead of chaos, the crew responded with precision. Shields flared to life, absorbing the impacts and holding firm. Emily wasted no time. "Return fire," she ordered, her voice cutting through the noise. Plasma cannons roared to life, sending bolts of searing energy toward the enemy. The first salvo struck a Council ship, causing its hull to crackle and spark. Cheers erupted on the bridge, but Emily quickly silenced them. "Focus, we're not done yet." The battle intensified as more ships joined the fray. Alien fighters swarmed the human fleet, attempting to overwhelm them with sheer numbers. Explosions lit up the darkness as ships on both sides were destroyed. The humans fought with everything they had, relying on speed, strategy, and teamwork to hold their ground. Despite the odds, they managed to hold their own, thanks in part to the advanced technology of their ancient fleet. But the Council wasn't giving up easily. Their ships regrouped, launching coordinated attacks that tested the limits of the human defenses. One by one, smaller vessels in the human fleet began to fall, their wreckage drifting silently through space. Casualties mounted, and the strain was visible on every face. Still, the humans refused to retreat. In the heat of the battle, a breakthrough occurred. A team of engineers aboard Eclipse had been working tirelessly to analyze the Council's technology. Using data collected during the fight, they discovered a weakness in the enemy's communication systems. With careful planning, they managed to hack into the Council's network, disrupting their coordination and leaving their ships vulnerable. Emily seized the opportunity. "All ships, target their command vessels," she commanded. The human fleet adjusted its tactics, focusing fire on the largest and most critical ships in the Council's formation. One by one, the enemy's leaders fell, throwing their forces into disarray. By the time the dust settled, the Council's fleet was in ruins. Dozens of their ships floated lifelessly in space, while the survivors retreated in disorder. The humans had won, at least for now. Exhausted but victorious, Emily leaned back in her chair, letting out a deep breath. "We did it," she said softly, though her tone carried a hint of sadness. Victory had come at a cost, and she knew the fight wasn't truly over. Back on Earth, celebrations erupted as news of the victory spread. Streets overflowed with cheering crowds, waving flags and chanting slogans of unity. For the first time, in years, humanity felt a sense of pride, not just in its technology or strength, but in its ability to come together when it mattered most. The Galactic Council had underestimated Earth, and now they would pay the price. Yet, amidst the joy, there was also reflection. Laura stood outside her home, gazing up at the stars. Her heart ached for Jacob, but she found solace in knowing that his death hadn't been in vain. Humanity had risen to the occasion, proving that it could stand tall among the stars. For Daniel Carter, the victory brought mixed emotions. He walked through the quiet halls of the underwater facility, thinking about all that had been sacrificed. "This is just the beginning," he murmured to himself. Somewhere beyond the stars, new challenges awaited. But for now, humanity could rest easy, knowing it had taken its first step toward claiming its place in the galaxy. The battle near Jupiter's orbit had been brutal. The human fleet, though victorious, was far from unscathed. Dozens of ships lay crippled or destroyed, their wreckage drifting silently through the vast emptiness of space. The crew aboard Eclipse, led by Captain Emily Dawson, worked tirelessly to assess the damage and tend to the wounded. Exhaustion weighed heavily on everyone, but there was no time to rest. The Galactic Council might regroup and return with even greater numbers, and Earth couldn't afford to be caught off guard again. Emily stood on the bridge, her eyes scanning the holographic displays that showed the status of the remaining fleet. Out of the hundreds of ships that had left Earth, only a fraction remained operational. Casualties were high, too high. She clenched her fists, feeling the weight of every life lost. Each one was someone's child, parent, sibling, or friend. Every death was a reminder of what was at stake. Yet despite the losses, hope lingered in the air. Humanity had faced an overwhelming force and survived. For the first time, Earth had proven it could stand toe-to-toe with the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. Back on Earth, the mood was a mix of celebration and mourning. Cities buzzed with energy as people took to the streets to honor those who had fought and fallen. Monuments were erected overnight, bearing the names of the brave men and women who had given their lives for humanity's survival. Laura, Jacob's mother, attended several memorials, her face pale but resolute. Though grief still clung to her like a shadow, she found strength in the unity of her fellow humans. Everywhere she went, strangers approached her, offering words of comfort or simply standing beside her in silence. Jacob's name had become a symbol of resilience, and Laura carried that burden with quiet determination. At the United Nations headquarters, leaders from around the world convened to discuss the next steps. Daniel Carter, the retired military strategist, addressed the assembly with a tone of urgency. "We've shown them we're not weak," he said, his voice steady but firm. "But this isn't over. The Council won't take this defeat lightly. They'll come back stronger, angrier. We need to prepare for the worst while pushing for peace." His words resonated deeply. Everyone in the room understood that the victory near Jupiter was only the beginning. The Galactic Council's retreat didn't mean they had surrendered. It meant they were regrouping. Earth needed to act quickly if it wanted to maintain the upper hand. Diplomacy would play a crucial role, but so would continued technological advancements. The ancient fleet had proven its worth, but it wasn't enough. Humanity needed to innovate, adapt, and grow stronger. Engineers and scientists worked around the clock to repair and upgrade the surviving ships. New designs were drafted, incorporating lessons learned from the battle. Weapon systems were enhanced, shields were reinforced, and communication networks were secured against future hacking attempts. Meanwhile, recruitment drives brought in fresh pilots and crew members, ensuring that the fleet would remain fully staffed. Training programs were accelerated, using virtual simulations to prepare recruits for the realities of space combat. Among the new recruits was a young woman named Rachel Hayes, whose brother had been among the casualties of the Jupiter battle. Rachel had grown up idolizing her brother, and his death had ignited a fire within her. She trained harder than anyone else, determined to honor his memory by contributing to Earth's defense. Her instructors noticed her dedication and recommended her for advanced training. Within weeks, Rachel found herself assigned to Eclipse, working alongside Captain Emily Dawson. Rachel's arrival brought a renewed sense of purpose to the crew. Her determination inspired others, reminding them why they were fighting. Emily took Rachel under her wing, teaching her the intricacies of commanding a starship. "This isn't just about skill," Emily told her one day during a quiet moment on the bridge. "It's about heart. You have to believe in what you're doing no matter how hard it gets. That's what keeps us going." As preparations continued, Earth sent another message to the Galactic Council. This time it was less confrontational and more diplomatic. Signed by all nations, the message acknowledged the recent conflict, but emphasized humanity's desire for peace. "We do not seek war," it read, "but we will not tolerate aggression against our people. Let this serve as a warning. Harm one of us and you harm all of us." The Council received the message with mixed reactions. Some members viewed it as a sign of weakness, believing that humanity was trying to negotiate from a position of fear. Others saw it as a genuine attempt to avoid further bloodshed. Debates raged within the council chambers, with factions arguing over how to proceed. In the end, cooler heads prevailed, and the council agreed to meet for talks aboard a neutral station orbiting Saturn. The decision to negotiate came as a relief to many on Earth, but skepticism remained. Laura, Jacob's mother, insisted on attending the meeting despite the risks. Her presence was symbolic, a grieving parent demanding answers and accountability. When she stepped onto the neutral station, flanked by representatives from various nations, her eyes burned with determination. She carried no weapons, only the memory of her son and the resolve to ensure his death would not be forgotten. The negotiations were tense. Representatives from the Galactic Council sat across from Earth's delegation, their expressions unreadable. Laura spoke first, her voice trembling but unwavering. "You called us primitive, insignificant," she said, addressing the council directly. "Yet here we stand, alive because of your mistakes. Never again will you underestimate us." Her words hung in the air, echoing through the chamber. For a moment there was silence. Then one of the council members, a tall, insect-like creature with gleaming black eyes, responded. "Your actions have forced us to reconsider our stance," it admitted. "We underestimated your capabilities and your resolve. That was unwise." The council offered reparations, promising to dismantle policies targeting humanity and provide resources to aid Earth's recovery. They also pledged to establish a formal alliance, recognizing humanity as an equal member of the galactic community. While some on Earth remained wary of these promises, the majority agreed to accept the terms. Peace, fragile as it was, seemed achievable. Back on Earth, celebrations erupted once again. Streets overflowed with joyous crowds, waving flags and chanting slogans of unity. Fireworks lit up the night sky, painting the heavens with bursts of color. For the first time in years, humanity felt a sense of pride, not just in its technology or strength, but in its ability to rise above adversity and claim its place among the stars. For Daniel Carter, the victory brought bittersweet reflections. He walked through the quiet halls of the underwater facility, thinking about all that had been sacrificed. This is just the beginning. he murmured to himself. Somewhere beyond the stars, new challenges awaited. But for now, humanity could rest easy, knowing it had earned its place in the galaxy, not through submission, but through courage and unyielding spirit. And so, Earth entered a new era, ready to write its story among the stars. The scars of battle would fade with time, but the lessons learned would endure. Humanity had proven itself capable not only of defending its own, but also of standing tall against the universe's mightiest powers. The road ahead would be long and uncertain, but one thing was clear: Earth would never again be underestimated. The negotiations aboard the neutral station orbiting Saturn marked a turning point for humanity. For the first time, Earth was seen not as a minor player in the galaxy, but as a force to be reckoned with. The Galactic Council's offer of reparations and alliance was more than just a gesture. It was an acknowledgement of humanity's strength and determination. Yet despite the apparent progress, trust remained fragile. Both sides knew that peace was delicate, and any misstep could reignite the flames of war. Laura, Jacob's mother, returned to Earth with mixed emotions. On one hand, she felt a sense of justice. The Council had admitted its mistake and promised to make amends. On the other hand, no amount of reparations could bring her son back. She carried his memory with her everywhere she went, a constant reminder of the cost of survival. But Laura also understood that Jacob's death had sparked something greater, a unity among humans that transcended borders, languages, and cultures. His name would forever be etched in history as the boy who changed the course of humanity's future. Back on Eclipse, Captain Emily Dawson and her crew prepared for the journey home. The ship, though battered from the battle near Jupiter, still hummed with life. Engineers worked tirelessly to repair the damage while others tended to the wounded. Morale was high, buoyed by the knowledge that their efforts had made a difference. Rachel Hayes, the young recruit who had joined after losing her brother, found herself growing closer to the crew. Her determination and bravery had earned her respect, and she began to feel like part of a family. As the fleet approached Earth, the planet came into view, a shimmering blue sphere suspended against the endless blackness of space. It was a sight that never failed to inspire awe. For many aboard the ships, it was a reminder of what they had fought so hard to protect. Emily stood on the bridge, gazing out at the horizon. "We did it," she said softly, her voice tinged with both pride and sorrow. "But we can't forget what it cost us." The return of the fleet was met with overwhelming celebration. Cities around the world erupted in cheers as the ships descended through the atmosphere, their engines roaring like thunder. Parades were organized, speeches were given, and monuments were unveiled to honor the fallen. People of all ages gathered in public squares, waving flags and chanting slogans of unity. For the first time in history, humanity felt truly united, not as individuals but as a collective force determined to shape its own destiny. Yet amidst the festivities there was also reflection. Leaders from every nation convened at the United Nations headquarters to discuss the road ahead. Daniel Carter, the retired military strategist who had played a key role in activating the ancient fleet, addressed the assembly with a tone of caution. "This victory is important, but it doesn't mean we're safe," he said. "The Council has backed down for now, but they'll always be watching. We need to stay vigilant. Our technology needs to improve. Our defenses need to strengthen. And above all, we need to remain united." His words resonated deeply. Everyone in the room understood that the battle near Jupiter was only the beginning. Humanity had proven itself capable of standing up to the galaxy's most powerful civilizations, but the galaxy was vast and unpredictable. New threats could emerge at any moment, and Earth needed to be ready. Engineers and scientists continued their work, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. The ancient fleet served as a foundation, but it wasn't enough. New designs were drafted, incorporating lessons learned from the recent conflict. Weapon systems were enhanced, shields were reinforced, and communication networks were secured against future hacking attempts. Meanwhile, recruitment drives brought in fresh pilots and crew members, ensuring that the fleet would remain fully staffed. Training programs were accelerated, using virtual simulations to prepare recruits for the realities of space combat. Rachel Hayes threw herself into her training with renewed vigor. Her bond with Emily Dawson grew stronger, and she began to see the older woman as a mentor. Emily taught her not just the technical aspects of commanding a starship, but also the importance of leadership and compassion. Being a captain isn't just about giving orders, Emily explained during one of their late-night conversations. It's about understanding your crew, knowing their strengths and weaknesses, and making sure they know you have their backs. That's how you build trust, and trust is everything. As months passed, Earth began to rebuild. The scars of war slowly faded, replaced by signs of progress and innovation. New technologies emerged, inspired by the discoveries made during the activation of the ancient fleet. Cities flourished, economies strengthened, and people looked to the stars with hope rather than fear. Humanity had taken its first steps onto the galactic stage, and it was determined to keep moving forward. But the galaxy was vast, and Earth was still learning its place within it. Exploratory missions were launched, sending ships to distant corners of the universe in search of allies, resources, and knowledge. These missions were risky, but they were necessary. Humanity couldn't afford to isolate itself, not when there was so much to learn and so much at stake. One such mission was led by Eclipse, now fully repaired and upgraded. Emily and her crew set out on a journey to explore uncharted regions of space, their goal to establish contact with other civilizations. Along the way, they encountered wonders beyond imagination, planets with skies that shimmered like rainbows, oceans that glowed in the dark, and creatures that defied logic. Each discovery filled them with awe and reminded them of how much there was to explore. But exploration wasn't without its dangers. During one mission, Eclipse stumbled upon a derelict alien vessel drifting silently through space. Its design was unfamiliar, suggesting it belonged to a species unknown to humanity. Curiosity drove the crew to investigate, and what they found inside left them shaken. The ship was filled with remnants of a once great civilization, artifacts, recordings, and journals detailing their rise and fall. It was a sobering reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of staying vigilant. Despite the challenges, humanity continued to grow and adapt. Earth's leaders worked tirelessly to maintain peace, forging alliances with other species, and participating in galactic councils. The scars of the past were never forgotten, but they served as a reminder of what could be achieved when people came together for a common cause. For Laura, life slowly began to regain a sense of normalcy. She returned to her small farm in Iowa, finding solace in the quiet rhythms of rural life. But she also became an advocate for peace, traveling the world to share her story and remind others of the importance of unity. Jacob's memory lived on in everything she did, a beacon of hope and resilience. Daniel Carter, too, found purpose in the aftermath of the war. He dedicated himself to studying the ancient civilization that had inspired Project Horizon, hoping to uncover more secrets that could benefit humanity. His work took him to remote corners of the globe where he collaborated with archaeologists, historians, and scientists. Each discovery brought him closer to understanding the legacy of those who had come before. As years passed, humanity's place in the galaxy became more secure. Earth was no longer seen as a minor player, but as a respected member of the galactic community. The ancient fleet remained a symbol of strength, a reminder of what could be achieved when humanity worked together. And though new challenges lay ahead, Earth faced them with courage and determination. In the end, the story of humanity's rise was one of resilience, unity, and hope. From the tragedy of Jacob's death to the triumph of standing tall among the stars, Earth had proven that it was capable of greatness. The road ahead would be long and uncertain, but one thing was clear. Humanity had earned its place in the galaxy, not through submission, but through courage and unyielding spirit. And so Earth entered a new era, ready to write its story among the stars. Years had passed since the battle near Jupiter and the subsequent negotiations with the Galactic Council. Earth had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The scars of war were still visible, but they had become a part of humanity's shared history, a reminder of how far it had come. The ancient fleet, once hidden beneath the ocean floor, now served as both a symbol of strength and a beacon of hope. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, but the journey was far from over. The galaxy was vast, filled with mysteries that even the most advanced civilizations struggled to understand. For Earth, exploration became a priority. Ships like Eclipse ventured into uncharted regions of space, seeking knowledge, resources, and allies. Each mission brought new discoveries, some wondrous, others unsettling, but all contributed to humanity's understanding of the universe. Captain Emily Dawson led many of these missions aboard Eclipse. Her crew had grown closer over the years, bound by shared experiences and mutual respect. Rachel Hayes, who had started as a young recruit driven by grief, had matured into a capable officer. She often accompanied Emily on away missions, her sharp instincts and quick thinking earning her a reputation as one of the best in the fleet. Together, they faced challenges that tested their courage and resolve. One such mission took them to a distant star system, where sensors detected unusual energy readings emanating from a planet shrouded in perpetual twilight. The surface was barren, dotted with jagged rock formations and glowing fissures that pulsed faintly with light. It was unlike anything the crew had ever seen. "This place feels alive," Rachel remarked as she stepped onto the alien soil, her boots crunching against the brittle ground. As they explored deeper, the team discovered strange structures half buried in the earth. They appeared artificial, though their purpose was unclear. Panels covered in intricate carvings lined the walls, depicting scenes of beings working together to build something monumental. "These symbols look familiar," Emily said, running, her fingers over the etchings. "They remind me of the designs we found in the ancient ruins back on Earth." The discovery sparked excitement among the crew. Could this be evidence of another advanced civilization? Or perhaps proof that humanity wasn't alone in its quest for progress? As they continued their investigation, they stumbled upon a chamber at the heart of the structure. Inside, a massive device hummed softly, its surface adorned with glowing patterns that shifted and changed like living things. Before anyone could examine it further, alarms blared throughout the ship. Back aboard Eclipse D, engineers reported detecting an unknown vessel approaching the planet. Its design was unlike anything in the Galactic database, suggesting it belonged to a species humanity had yet to encounter. "We need to leave," Emily ordered, her voice calm but firm. "Now." The crew scrambled to evacuate, but it was too late. The alien ship descended rapidly, surrounding them with a force field that trapped them inside the structure. Moments later, figures emerged from the vessel, tall, slender beings with translucent skin and eyes that glowed faintly in the dim light. They moved silently, observing the humans with expressions that were impossible to read. "Who are you?" Emily asked, stepping forward cautiously. Her voice echoed in the chamber, breaking the tense silence. One of the aliens raised a hand, and suddenly, words formed directly in her mind. "We are the Keepers," it said, its voice calm but commanding. "Guardians of knowledge left behind by those who came before." The Keepers explained that the structure was a repository of information, created by an ancient race that had long since vanished. Their purpose was to protect this knowledge until a worthy species discovered it. Humanity had proven itself by standing up to the Galactic Council and striving for unity despite adversity. "You have shown resilience," the Keeper continued, "but wisdom is the true test of greatness." With that, the force field dissipated, and the aliens retreated to their ship, leaving the humans to ponder their words. The crew returned to Eclipse, their minds racing with questions. What did the Keepers mean by wisdom? And what role would this newfound knowledge play in humanity's future? Back on Earth, news of the discovery spread quickly. Scientists and historians worked tirelessly to decipher the data brought back from the mysterious planet. The carvings and patterns contained complex equations, blueprints, and philosophical teachings that challenged everything humanity thought it knew about the universe. Some believed this knowledge could usher in a new era of prosperity, while others feared it might lead to unforeseen consequences. Daniel Carter, now an elder statesman of sorts, played a key role in analyzing the findings. He spent countless hours poring over the ancient texts, searching for answers. His work took him to remote facilities around the world, where teams collaborated to unlock the secrets of the repository. "This isn't just about technology," he told Laura during one of their meetings. "It's about understanding our place in the cosmos. We've been given a gift, but it comes with responsibility." Laura, now a prominent advocate for peace and unity, traveled extensively to promote the idea of using this knowledge wisely. She spoke at conferences, schools, and community events, urging people to think critically about the implications of unchecked power. "We've fought hard to get here," she reminded audiences. "Let's not lose sight of what matters most: our humanity." Meanwhile, tensions simmered beneath the surface of galactic politics. Though the Galactic Council had pledged peace, not everyone trusted their intentions. Whispers of dissent spread among certain factions, warning that humanity's rise posed a threat to the established order. Earth's leaders remained vigilant, strengthening alliances and fortifying defenses. The ancient fleet was expanded, incorporating new designs inspired by the knowledge gained from the repository. Exploration missions continued, each one pushing humanity further into the unknown. Along the way, Earth encountered other species, some friendly and others wary. Diplomacy became a delicate balancing act requiring patience and understanding. Yet through it all, humanity's reputation grew. Stories of its resilience and determination spread across the galaxy, inspiring others to seek peaceful coexistence. For Emily and her crew, every mission reinforced the importance of teamwork and trust. Whether facing hostile environments or negotiating with alien diplomats, they relied on each other to overcome obstacles. "We're more than just a crew," Emily often said. "We're a family, and families stick together no matter what." Rachel, now a seasoned officer, found herself mentoring younger recruits, passing on the lessons she had learned from Emily. "Out there, it's not just about survival," she told them during training sessions. "It's about making choices that reflect who we are. That's what defines us, not just as individuals, but as a species." As decades passed, humanity's influence in the galaxy grew. Earth became a hub of innovation and diplomacy, attracting visitors from across the stars. Cities flourished, economies thrived, and people looked to the future with optimism. But even in times of peace, the lessons of the past were never forgotten. Monuments dedicated to those who had sacrificed everything stood tall, reminding generations to come of the cost of freedom. For Laura, Jacob's memory remained a guiding light. She carried his story with her wherever she went, sharing it with anyone willing to listen. "He may have been just a boy," she said during one speech, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "But his life changed the course of history. Let's honor him by continuing to strive for a better tomorrow." Daniel Carter, nearing the end of his life, reflected on the journey humanity had undertaken. From the tragedy of Jacob's death to the triumph of standing tall among the stars, Earth had proven itself capable of greatness. "We've come so far," he wrote in his final journal entry. "But the road ahead will always be uncertain. What matters is how we choose to walk it, together." And so, humanity pressed onward, guided by the principles of unity, resilience, and hope. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, but Earth's greatest strength lay not in its technology or weapons, but in its spirit. For every challenge faced, there was a lesson learned. For every loss endured, there was a reason to keep fighting. In the end, humanity's story was one of perseverance, a testament to the power of coming together in the face of adversity. The stars above beckoned, promising endless possibilities. And as Earth gazed skyward, it did so with confidence, knowing that whatever lay ahead, it would face it as one.